78.6 FM Yoma Time, positive vibes with Winsome. I can't tell you how excited I am to be back in the booth today. If you're listening here in Yoma Time, thank you so much for tuning in. FM Yoma Time, 78.6 FM, positive vibes with Winsome. I just flew in last night. I was just telling my teammates here, so excited about being back in Okinawa. I went from Okinawa to Osaka, from Osaka to Thailand, and from Thailand to Philippines. I had an amazing opportunity to teach some of the skills that we teach here in Okinawa, and really enjoyed the adventure. I can't tell you how much I was chasing the storm, right? Not intentionally or purposefully, but the typhoon was here. So the typhoon hit Okinawa, or was coming this way as I was going the other direction. So it was kind of like dancing around the typhoon that kind of changed my trip a little bit, the trajectory and the direction. But I tell you, I got everywhere I was supposed to be. Not only did I get everywhere I was supposed to be, but it was an amazing adventure. I can tell you that my time in headquarters, the Philippine Air Force, and with that team, it was a wonderful opportunity to learn about the culture, to see places that I never imagined seeing, and learn a lot more about the history of the career that I'm in currently. Of course, I'm not on the radio, just hearing the story, the full story about the bases and the facilities and what happened with the forces. It was really one of those adventures that I will remember forever. I've had my father and grandfather and mentors that have been in these locations, these bases, when they were fully active. And so I'm coming up there years later, and I'm this generation that gets to see what it looks like now, right? And I hear the stories about what it looked like when my grandfather was there and my father was visiting. So I say all that to say this. It's good to be back. It is a beautiful day in Okinawa today. There are no clouds separating us from the sun today. It's beautiful outside. The water looks gorgeous. It always does this after typhoon weather, right? It looks amazing outside. It's one of those ideal days to get out on the kayak and go out there. You know, I love that kayak. So that's what I want to do today if I have time, right? So what are we talking about today? We just got out of Mental Health Awareness Month. If you're tracking, May was the month of Mental Health Awareness Month. I missed last week's segment because I was traveling and gearing up to get out of here. And I really wanted to close out and say thank you to everyone who had a part in the events that were hosted last month. There were so many of them. We started with the Mental Health Awareness Walk. All the individuals who had an opportunity to be a part of the mental health awareness messages, the May motivation messages that we did there in Kadena for everyone who chose to listen in. In addition to that, we had a lot of opportunities to do storyteller events. I think I emceed and spoke at three different storyteller events last month. I can't tell you how important it is to have those opportunities to speak of how important mental health is. And when I talk about all of our other subjects, I can go through the list, right? Emotional intelligence, self-care, self-love, you name it, growth mindsets, every one of them. And let me say this with the most sincere verbiage. Every one of them starts with the self. Every topic that we teach starts with you. So when I'm teaching these topics, and if you're listening in 78.6 FM Yomatan, positive vibes of Winsome, when I'm teaching these topics around the island, around the world now, right? I'm going to the United States to teach on this in a few weeks. I can tell you this. It all starts with self-awareness, who you are, what is your character, how do you wake up in the morning, how do you motivate yourself, what energizes you, what is your why, what is your purpose? Like all of these things matter when it boils down to individuals, human beings. So when you talk about the importance of a month like Mental Health Awareness Month that we just escaped, right? Or we just got out of, I won't say escaped, that we just walked out of. This third, I believe today is 3 June. So we talk about the importance of this because the importance of the mind and being able to control your mind and take your life back. Your mind is a machine. If you let it just go out there and run on its own, it can take you in any direction it chooses, right? It's a machine. It's going to go in the direction that's logical for that time, that moment, but without thinking it through and without being able to use your heart. And I'm going to say this again because a lot of people that I know personally, a lot of people that I've experienced and had conversations with, and I might not be friends with, but just associated with, they don't understand the importance of being able to take control of your thoughts. Because when you can take control of your thoughts, you can take control of your day. Take control of your day, you can take control of your week. Take control of your week, and so on and so forth. The key is to be able to take over your life. I was speaking to a class before I left, and I was telling the class, I said, your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. You choose. So many memes, so many quotes, everyone's posting all this stuff, right? Little snippets from what they see somewhere else, and they just twist the words up to make it make sense for their circle or their friends. But ultimately what it boils down to is your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. You choose. So when you wake up and you're telling yourself, today's going to be a good day, or is it, I got to go to work, or I got to go do this. All of these things, this self-talk, this way that we communicate to ourselves is so important, because that's part of the process of taking your life back. It starts with taking your thoughts back. How do you see your day? When you speak to a room full of people, one of the coolest things is I ask, and it sounds like the most random question when I ask it because I do it on purpose, right? I say, hey, where are we? Watch this. I said, where are we? And I just look around the room, and I always try to control the room, right? So always looking around and make eye contact with everyone, understand what's going on, so I can see the vibe in the room. And I always get that one person be like, Kadena Air Base or wherever base run, Fatima, whatever we're at, right? Okay, I hear you, what you're saying, but where are we? Think bigger than that. And then they go, Japan. Okay, keep going. Okinawa. Okay, keep going. Where are we? And it ends with me saying, okay, let me just take that away from you. Let me take it back and watch this. We are on one of the most beautiful islands in the world. Listen to me when I say this again. I stop and I pause the room, pause the lesson, and when I'm asking around the room, everybody's so surface. They just barely scratch the surface of where we are in reality to our location. And I said, we are on one of the most beautiful islands in the world, where the people are some of the most kindest people you'll ever meet, ever, anywhere. The culture is one of the most beautiful cultures you'll probably see in the entire world. The history of this island alone. And when you start peeling the onion back there, people start kind of sitting back in their seat and thinking, but you can see their wheels spinning. I'm like, and then think about it. You can go out to any one of these beaches right now. Me, my favorite, of course, I go out here to Zampa, and I go to the beach that's right next door near the resort. And I say you can take a kayak or a paddleboard, whatever you want. You can go out into that water, and you can see clear into the water. Listen to me when I tell you this. How many beaches in the United States can you go out into the beach and you can just clearly see down to the bottom of the ocean? You can't. Here you can. It's one of the most ideal scuba diving locations in the world. Probably top 10, if not top 20, right? For that reason alone, there's a whole beautiful, different world down there that people love to explore and see. Not just snorkel, that's me, surface, because I can't swim that good yet. I'm working on that. Thank you, Mr. G, for the lessons. But everybody else that's in there in that scuba gear, I see it all the time, every week. Somebody else is talking about that, to get in there and discover a whole new world, right? So if you take all of that and you just peel the onion back a little bit and you say, instead of just saying I'm in Okinawa or I'm on this base or I'm in this country, really be present and consider where you are. You see what their minds were scratching the surface. Remember what I told you, it's all about self-awareness and understanding how your mind is working, right? Their minds were barely scratching the surface. They weren't even able to dig past that first layer. That's the difference of how you wake up. I wake up with that thought process. I'm on one of the most beautiful islands in the world. I get to be here. It's amazing. I can't wait to see what I do with today. Whereas there's others that wake up saying, I gotta go to work on this base or at this job. Got to. Listen to where I'm going. I get to get up and do something amazing with today. I get another day. I can't wait to see what I do with it. I don't need an alarm clock to wake me up because that alarm clock isn't going to be what motivates me. I wake myself up because I'm excited to know that I got another day. I don't need other people to energize me or to motivate me. I know that I have an opportunity today to do something amazing, to meet someone new, to go somewhere I've never seen before. See, when you can do that, when you can change the way you look at things, I said this last year and people didn't really hear me when I was saying it because I didn't dig deep. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So when you change the way you look at your day, when you change the way you look at how you wake up, when you change the way you look at your job, when you change the way you look at people, when you change the way you look at food, listen to me, change the way you look at your body. All of these things matter when it comes to taking your life back. 78.6 FM. Positive vibes of Winsome. I just jumped in here. I didn't say hello, throw into last week's stories. I really just jumped into celebrating because I'm a few days late. I was out of the country. I just got back, and I haven't had a chance to tell you how magical Mental Health Awareness Month was, and being able to take your life and your mind back, being able to control your thoughts instead of allowing your thoughts to control you, being able to do that and how powerful that is. If I can start there with every one of my lessons that I teach right now, and I'll say there's probably about 19 that I'm doing. If I can start there and just make sure people know who they are, that's conquering a lot right there because a lot of people don't. A lot of people just get up and flow. Whatever happens, happens. No, you got to go into your day with a plan. You got to go into each day with new energy. You got to go into, even when you don't feel like, listen to me, there's many days. This is that guy. You know I'm transparent. There's many days based on what was going on before. You just don't feel like it. But you got to find that in you to something that just pulls that energy right back and says, okay, wait a minute. I almost let my mind take control of my actions and my body, my thoughts. Let me go ahead and take my thoughts back real quick and remind myself I have a new day, a new canvas. I can paint whatever picture I want. Even if it's raining outside, you can have an amazing day. Trust me, people were doing it here when it was raining. Last couple of days, still finding a way to have a wonderful day. Even when you've had a rough night the night before, that next morning could still be amazing. So I give it to you. I was traveling back to back to back. I was nonstop. Spent time, we're walking around Osaka, trying to explore Osaka and Kyoto for a day and a half, just feet on fire. There's many a times I was like, I don't feel like walking anymore. I don't feel like walking up these stairs. I'm tired of steps. I'm tired of all this walking. But I'm going to tell you, the journey, the walking, the movement, it was worth it because when we got to those destinations, man, let me go back. The journey was worth it because the destination was beautiful. Do you hear what I'm saying? So I may not have felt like it. I may not have wanted to walk up all these steps and walk up and down all these hills and walk all these people. It's very crowded up in Kyoto especially. I didn't want to go through all these people. But when I got to the destination, I looked back at the journey I just made and I realized that it was all worth it. What are we talking about, Winsome? Listen to me. When you start with yourself and sometimes you don't feel like it. Sometimes you don't see how it's going to pay off. Sometimes the original view is, I don't want to do this, or I got to do this. But then when you get to the destination, and not just a location and somewhere you're trying to go, but in life, somewhere you're trying to be, when you get there, you realize that everything that you went through, the journey, the destination is worth it. You just had to do the work. And some of us have to do the work on ourselves. 78.6 FM, Positive Vibes with Winsome. Can't wait to talk to you after this break. Be right back. .6 FM, Positive Vibes of Winsome. Excited to be back for the second segment. We were talking about in the first segment, making sure that no matter what's going on in your life, that you're enjoying the journey. We talked about Mental Health Awareness Month and how a lot of individuals are still trying to figure out who they are. Not just in life, but as an individual. You start asking questions about if you know what your purpose is in this life, if you know what your why is, right? And some people don't know the difference between purpose and why. And I love having those conversations because there's some people who are still trying to understand what their purpose is. A lot of people, I was just talking to a hero last week before I left, and she and I were talking about what her purpose was. And she came down to the realization that she really didn't know what her purpose is right now because she's exploring so many different things in her life. And I respected that, wholeheartedly respected that conversation because at least she was self-aware enough to know, I know what my why is. And I really want to share that with you guys. She said, I know what my why is because I joined the United States military because I saw how hard my mother struggled to make ends meet. And one year, my brother, when he graduated from high school, this is her story, this is what she told me. When he graduated from high school, he was accepted, of course, to join the United States Air Force. She said when he went through basic military training, his mom was so proud that she bought a ticket. And she bought a ticket to go see his graduation. And if you know, they're coming from, I want to say, the Philippines. And so the mom buys a ticket, hard as she worked, just to go see her son, the pride she had to go see her son graduate. And so 6.5 weeks of training, he gets to the very last week. And because he wanted to get back to a relationship in the Philippines, he intentionally got in trouble at basic training and was kicked out. They didn't find out and finalize this until his mom had already arrived in the United States. Let me go back and tell this story and sum it up real quick. So this young man joined the United States military from the Philippines, was in basic military training. And because of a relationship with a young lady in the Philippines, he wanted to get back to her. He intentionally got in trouble in basic training so that they would send him back home. 1 week from graduation. Same day that his mom flew into the U.S. to surprise him at his graduation. Broke his mother's heart. As you can imagine, right? She's heartbroken. She has to go home. She's disappointed. She's embarrassed. He's in a new relationship, and sadly, the relationship didn't even work out. It didn't even pan out. But he made these decisions, life decisions, based on a relationship, and broke his mother's heart. So when I asked this young lady, who is his sister, younger sister, she graduates a couple of years later, and she said the reason that I fought so hard, the reason I went through basic training, the reason I joined the United States military from overseas is because I wanted my mom to be proud. I wanted her to be able to go to a real graduation that my brother never gave her. So I gave up my dream of becoming a nurse straight out of school, going to nursing school, to join the military so that my mom could have that moment. Whew. When she shared that with me, I hear a lot of stories all the time. I talk to people every day, as you know. So when she told me this, it hit me somewhere deep. I was like, wow, that is an incredible why. We ask people all the time why they do what they do. A lot of people say for money, for education, for travel, for opportunities. But to hear something that deep, that it was for a moment, not even a long-term thing. It was, I wanted my mother to have that moment. And now I'm still here. She's doing wonderful things. She's doing great. She's here on the island. It was a wonderful conversation. I was able to have lunch that day with her. We went and sat down, talked lunch, talked future, talked school, talked opportunities. And when that conversation, we talked about why. And it was great because I was like, wow, that's unique. And we all have one. But I'm going to tell you, she flipped it on me. So I asked her that question. She tells me her story. And then she asked me why, and I love sharing this. I have no problem doing this. Why do you keep doing what you're doing? And so, I'm thinking she's talking about my military career. So are you asking me why I'm serving for 25 years this year? Is that what you're asking? She said, no. She said, everybody that sees you're always positive, trying to help others and encouraging and always trying to inspire, right? And out here traveling and educating. But why? And I enjoyed that question. I really adored that question. I sat back and I smiled and I said, you know what? Nobody's asked me that in a long time. I said, I'll tell you, and I'll start at the beginning. I'll make a long story short. I'm trying to be someone that I didn't have when my trajectory started. When my path started, I didn't have someone that could stand and be that beacon of light that I knew I can go to, that I knew would stop time for me. I didn't have that person for a long time. And then when I started finding those people, I wanted to emulate those people because now I know what it looks like. I knew what right looks like. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to have to try and get through my worst day. And I want to be someone who can be supportive of those that are struggling. I want to be someone that can be there and stand in the gap of somebody who's going through problems, situations, and experiencing pain. I want to be able to help. So all the things I do, from the radio show to the podcast to the professional coaching to the career advising, when people walk in my office, I want them to walk away knowing that I left them better than I found them, knowing that they can get through whatever their challenge is, knowing that they can be anything they want to be, knowing that they can have anything they put their mind to, knowing that they can go anywhere in life if they put their mind to it and they put their heart and soul and energy towards it. If they block out all the noise, if they tell themselves they can instead of allowing their mind to tell them that they can't, if they stop believing in limitations that other people have set on them and limitations that they may have put on themselves, when they start realizing that they can go anywhere in this world that they want to go and that the world is a huge place and not just some small little country or city or town, that the world is so big and yet we are so small but amazing, uniquely and wonderfully made. When I can do that, when I have an opportunity to do that in all of these ways that I'm doing it, that's my purpose. You see, my why was because I knew what it felt like. My purpose is to change as many lives and be there for as many people as I can. Right now, my career aligns with what I love, my passion. And when this career is done, which is, it's got an expiration date, I'll be able to pour all of this just into my family. Only them. It's their time. So ask me that question. What is my why? Because I know what it felt like. What is my purpose? To keep anybody else that I can from feeling that way. Alone, sad, depressed, frustrated, anxious. I want everybody to be at peace, to be able to value their lives, to know that they are amazing, Powerful. That is my purpose right now. 78.6 FM Yomitan, positive vibes with Winsome. So excited to share that story. I asked permission. I said, hey, do you mind if I share this conversation on the radio show? Because we don't have these conversations enough. And I might be the one unique person and I'll say that, the one person I know that searches and chases these conversations. But this young lady actually said these conversations are wonderful. They give me energy. They give me life. I crave these kinds of conversations. I said, hey, I'm here for it all day, every day. If I got time or if time is available, I will stop time for you, right? That's what we do. So positive vibes. Where are we going now? So I just came back from teaching and building our training. What is it? Exchange training program. Or train and exchange program, with the headquarters Philippine Air Force. I will tell you that relationship was a long time coming and building and brewing. And that was kind of the culmination of a lot of efforts from both sides, the U.S. and the United States, Philippine Air Force. Jazz Def here in Okinawa, we already have an amazing and beautiful relationship with them. And we also already do our training courses together. So to be able to branch out to this region, especially right now, what's going on in our world right now, to be able to have and build these relationships is so important. And it's more than just about travel. It's about character. It's about the story. It's about the conversations. It's about the heart. It's about everything that goes in and it has to happen to make these relationships a possibility. So I did that. Just got back. I'll be traveling to the U.S. soon. I want to save this before I leave. I want to say this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to next weekend. I think I will. But so I'm going in another trip. I'll share that next weekend with you, what that is. I'm really excited about that. That's a surprise, though. I'm going to save this one because it's kind of a big deal. And then I'm back here. This quarter, what are we looking at? And for March, April, May, June. April, May, June has been already amazing, busy. It's been very challenging to be everywhere at one time or be everywhere at all times. And I tease my teammate, and I'm like, hey, man, I kind of feel like we're everywhere and nowhere all at once, right? Because we're all these places that we're asked to be, but all these other places, they're like, we never see you. I'm like, hey, we're at the units. We're taking care of people. We're at the buildings. We're at different bases here in Okinawa. We've had blessed opportunities to be able to speak life into every branch of service, military and civilian, over the past 2 quarters. It has been an amazing experience, and I wouldn't change that for the world. So when I'm asked, what are we doing? What is our goal for the rest of the year? It's like, hey, we're traveling, we're teaching, we're going to different points. But next quarter, we have to kind of rebuild, right? And not just when it comes to work, but personally, professionally, kind of get a good look at what we want to do for the last 6 months. And so in June, at the end of this month, when I get back from, of course, the surprise location I'll talk about next week, it's really going to be kind of a resetting time, a good opportunity for us to regroup. And we have new teammates, new team members doing this, and the new relationships that have been built over the last couple of months are very exciting. And the one I just mentioned not too long ago with the headquarters path, that was really a vision at the beginning of the year that actually happened. I didn't expect it, didn't plan it, and it happened beautifully. 78.6 FM, Yoma Time, positive vibes with Winston. We'll be right back. 78.6 FM Yoma Time, Positive Vibes of Winston. So we talked about a couple of things, man. We talked about some of the upcoming events last segment. First segment, we talked about Mental Health Awareness Month, the month of May, right? I wasn't here last weekend to really highlight it, so wanted to definitely do that today. Quick shout out to everyone who had a part in any of the events last month. Meant so much to a lot of people, and it really, truly meant a lot to me. And to be asked to be a part of those was truly heartwarming and appreciated. Can tell you how humbled I was and how many opportunities I had to give back to the community in the month of May. So thank you for keeping me in mind. Thank you for trusting me with those events. And, hey, man, I'm excited to see what we do the next ones, right? Doesn't have to just be May. It can be any time throughout the year. And I'm a call or a text away. How do I want to close this out, man? I was reading something. We talk about self-care. We talk about self-love. The first segment, we're talking about a lot of different things, that self-awareness and how important that is. One of the things that we don't really talk about enough is self-belief. And what is self-belief? A lot of times, like I mentioned in the first segment, our mind can be our best friend or our worst enemy. You see, self-belief, that's when we're not allowing doubt to creep in. See, self-belief is when we're not allowing the limitations of others to keep us from wishing, dreaming, and creating plans to do something great. Self-belief is when others say that there's no way that you can, that you are already telling yourself that you can. Self-belief is when there seems no way in your heart and in your mind, you already found one. You see, it starts with your heart. And a lot of people start with their brain, and your brain could take you in 20 different directions, but when you pause and you stop and you just breathe and you listen to your heart will never lie to you. Your heart will never steer you wrong. You see, your heart was there first. Before the brain started operating and do all its calculations and the computer started going, your heart was the one that was pumping blood into that machine to make it work. You see, your heart is what connects everything else in your body. That's why people say listen to your gut, but they're really telling you to listen to your heart. See, your heart's not going to steer you wrong. If you ever want to listen to your heart, right? I did this like physically listen to your heart. It's the craziest thing. So while I was gone and traveling, I had this really huge tub in one of the rooms. So what I did was I filled the tub full of really not burning hot water, but hot water, kind of like the saunas type deals, right? And I sat there and just let it fill up while I sat there in there. Now, as the water temperature rises, your heart rate does too. So your heart, do, right? And what I like to do is the craziest thing. We move and we operate. We're going so fast throughout the day that we don't really pay attention to our heartbeat. Some people, the only time they really pay attention is when they're after a long run and they need to calm their heart rate down. They're checking their heart rate because they have the phones that do the heart rate monitoring. Or you go to the doctor and they put the tool on your heart to listen to your heartbeat and tell you if it's good or bad, right? The doctor's telling you, hey, tell you to breathe in, right? So what I did was I did the bath method. I thank myself all the time. I ain't gonna lie to you. I tell my body thank you. I'm very grateful that my body and my mind function and they operate and they move, and I don't have any of the health issues that some of my friends have. So I lay in the tub, and that moment that you put your head in the water, right? Not your face, it doesn't have to be. It can be just to cover your ears up to the front of your face, right? In the water, in the hot water. And you turn the water off and you just relax and you block out the noise. Do you know what you can hear? Your heart. Doom, doom, doom. Of course, the heart rate a little bit increased because of the hot water. Doom, 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 doom. Right? But that's the one time, one of those moments that you can actually connect yourself to that person, not even that person, to that organ that is functioning and keeping your body functioning. That organ that has been taking care of you since the day you were born, before you were born. That organ that was there first. We listen to our minds all the time, and our minds can play tricks on us, but our heart would never lie, right? So that was the craziest experience for me. I laid there and I just listened to it, and I was like, wow. Never alone. So you've been here with me the whole time, buddy. Right? So listen to me. Your life is going to take you in a lot of different directions. Your day You wake up in the morning, your day can go in many different directions, but every once in a while, you just got to breathe and appreciate the fact that you're still moving. You got to wake up and you got to realize and believe in yourself that no matter what you set your mind to, that you can do it. A lot of people, I've never done this before, try it. I've never tried, try it. My brother said I couldn't do it. My dad said I shouldn't do it. If it's something you want for your life, something that you can see that you've been wanting, something that is burning a fire in the pit of your belly because you want it that bad, but other people are telling you can't, try it. You see, we have this saying that we joke around about. We say, shoot your shot, right? Because the one thing you don't want to live with and the one thing you don't want to have at the end of your days, when it's your last day and you say you get that last moment to think about your life, flashes before your eyes, you don't want to live with regret of the things that you didn't try. The things that you didn't try to take those opportunities to create opportunities for yourself. You see it on my page, and it's not even a, what do you call that? It's not a gloating or bragging thing. It's I am, I can, and I will. And listen to what I'm telling you. I am, I can, and I will. When you have your self-belief and you use those 3 words, or you tell yourself those 3 things, well, whatever it is you're about to start, that's that self-belief that's going to set you on a trajectory that a lot of people won't even see in their lifetime because they've allowed the world to stop them from being creative, stop them from being imaginative. You see, the world has told them that they're not good enough. The world has told them that they're not strong enough. The world has told them that they can't have it. And these folks the most of these people listen to those voices, those doubts, those words. The words can't, won't. But then there's others, like myself. You see, I see the possible and the impossible. I had that vision of just because nobody's done it before me doesn't mean I can't. One of my friends, he uses the story of the 4-minute mile, right? And I don't want to pull from anybody else's story, so this is what I'm going to tell you. I am, I can, and I will. It doesn't matter what's happened before you. If it's possible, if there's 1% chance, be that 1% in your life. No matter what it is you're gunning for, shoot your shot. No matter where you're trying to go, if you say it's an impossible location, find a way. No matter what you're trying to accomplish, if it is a possibility that there's that 1%, I'm trying to tell you, go get it. You see, some people think that 1% means that the chances are low. That 1% means there's a chance at all. I'll take those odds. So you ask like promotion or for winning the lottery. Now, I ain't wasting money, but when it comes to other things, other experiences, right? What about the people that are chasing the experiences that nobody else has had? What about those people that are taking opportunities that nobody else has explored? You think that these things that we see, these stories that we hear, and these activities just pop out of nowhere? No, they came from somewhere. There was someone that fought for it, that saw it, that envisioned it in their mind, and they went for it. They shot their shot. So what is it in your life right now that you can say in your mind that you've limited yourself because of what other people have said that you can't do, what other people told you wasn't possible? What is it in your life that you have stopped yourself from doing, being, saying, trying, going? What are those things that you know that you need to do it and that you need to at least try? I challenge you. I challenge you today to think about what that is in your life that you have stopped being curious about because someone else told you that you can't have it, can't do it, can't be it. Shoot your shot. I love the people that live more than one career in their lifetime. When I say that, more than one career, they've lived more lives than many of us. One of my favorite people, and you guys already know, favorite stories to see is Johnny Kim. My man Johnny Kim went from being a Navy SEAL to a doctor, and now he's an astronaut, younger than me. 3 different lifetimes, 3 different careers, 3 different challenges that most people wouldn't even attempt because it seems impossible. And he's achieved all 3 and is still thriving. So when I see stories like that, that reminds us that You can be, do, or have anything you put your mind to. And I say these things, and when people hear me say this last week or last year with no context, it was like, this guy's just talking. No. There are examples of people doing it, living it, being it right now, fighting for what they wish, dream, envision. They see that vision in their mind, and they say, there's nothing that's going to stop me. And they see those obstacles, there's no way I'm not going to get over them, under them, or around them. They see those challenges, and there's no way that I'm not going to fight through it. You see, those are the people that get to where they're trying to go in life. Those are the people that experience the wonderful stories and get to tell people the stories that they lived. So these are the people that don't want to be part of the 70%, 80% of the folks that choose not to challenge themselves or adventure into things that scared them or that people told them was impossible. These are the people that say, I am going to live. These are the people that realize I only have one life. I only get one of these experiences, one of these opportunities to do everything that I've may possibly be able to do. And so these are the people who wake up energized. They wake up excited. They wake up saying, let's go. Because what I'm about to do with my day is going to be better than where my last one left off. I'm going to be better than yesterday. I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to tell myself that there is more out here. I'm going to find it. I'm going to try to gather as many experiences as possible today so that I can have them. I'm going to learn new things. I'm going to meet new people. I'm going to go new places because I can. Listen to me. These are the game changers. So self-belief is believing that you can. Believing that you can have, be, do whatever you want. And I'll say that because, I love saying it. You can be, do, or have anything that you put your mind and your heart to if you fight for it. 78.6 FM, positive vibes of Winston. We talked about knowing who you are as an individual, right? This is the start of so many of these lessons that we teach, so many of the classes that I've attended and training that I've gone through starts with self-awareness. Knowing who you are and understanding that the limitations that you set on yourself in the past don't have to be the same ones that you have for your future. And when I say limitations, what is tying you down to keep you from being the best version of you? We talked about self-belief. You got to be that balloon that's not tied down to something that's keeping them from flying. You got to be that person that says that the impossible, unless there's absolutely no way, I can. I am, and I will achieve my dreams, achieve my goals, find a way, overcome my obstacles, overcome challenges, or fight through challenges. I will be the best version of me when I wake up every single day. You see, the rain can be pouring outside, but it's not going to stop me from having a good day. It could be dark tonight. It's not going to stop me from finding a light and something to do that's going to make me smile, bring joy. That's what I need you to tell yourself. A lot of people let other people's problems keep them from living. They let other people's limitations keep them from flying. Don't be your own worst enemy. Be your own best friend. Don't let your mind tell you that you can't. Tell your mind to shut up and know that you can. Your mind can be your best friend or it can be your own worst enemy. But it comes down to what you tell yourself every single day. Tell yourself you can. You got this. You are loved, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. I'll see you next week. 78.6 FM bonus round. We found out that we did a little extended period this time, 4 segments, so I'm really excited about more time, and it's great because I had more stuff to talk about, right? So we talked about self-belief. We talked about self-motivation. We talked about believing in yourself. We talked about waking up and what you tell yourself and how important what you tell yourself, that self-talk, positive self-talk. So let me tell you something, man. If you haven't gathered all the things that I'm trying to tell you, is how to be the best version of you. Because if you're not being the best version of you, how are you taking care of others? How are you being that person that this world needs? How are you waking up and knowing that you can be, do, or have anything you put your mind to? And how are you inspiring others to see the same? I told you a person who inspired me was Johnny Kim, because I saw that he chased every one of his dreams. And let me tell you, he didn't have a cookie cutter childhood. He was an abused child in a very violent home. And his story, where he took that, what he did with that pain, how he internalized it and used that as fuel, is things you don't hear all the time. And to me, that's very inspiring, very, very encouraging, very inspirational. So how are you being that person for someone else, not just for yourself, but how do you take everything along in your journey and be that person that is showing someone else the way, helping someone else survive their worst days, helping someone else navigate pain, helping someone else navigate adversity, helping someone else get through their worst day? How are you doing that? Because, yeah, self-awareness, self-care, self-belief, self-love, it's important, but that's just the first part, right? Let's talk about this Positive Vibes radio show. Let's talk about it. That's part 1. All those things. But you got to take what you learned about you and the things that you did for you and the things that you were able to create for you. And you got to give that back to the world now. So now the world sees you. Now the world sees the way. Now the world understands there's so much more. The world sees that you don't have to live in limitations. The world sees that you can be a beacon of light in your own way. So you work on all these things. You put in the effort and you try it. And it's not going to be easy. I'm going to tell you something, man. I wrote a couple things down. None of those things I just told you are easy, because every one of those things there's some ingredients that go into those. And this is why I'm so glad for the extra time, because there's some ingredients that go into all of those. The first one is you got to have courage. And what does that mean, Winsome? You got to have the courage to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm more than this. You got to have the courage to look at yourself in the mirror and say, if you're not in love with who you are right now, I need to take the steps to be in love with who I am. You have to have the courage to take that first step of all of the things that we talked about today, right? If you want to be, do, or have anything, do you have the courage to actually write your dreams down? Do you have the courage to actually say, I can do this? The courage to actually guide yourself, the strength, which is next. To not just take everything you wrote down and be courageous enough to take that first step, but the strength to keep yourself disciplined. You see, all of these things matter when it comes to trying to be the best version of you and trying to grow out of those limited mindsets and those limitations that you may have grown for yourself. You see, it all starts with courage. So you take that first step, but bang, you got to have the strength to be disciplined. You got to have the strength and the mindset to be consistent. So I'm courageous enough to change. I'm courageous enough to take that first step. And I have the strength to keep going. I have the strength to fight for what I want next. This is what I need you to tell yourself. I was courageous enough to get up and chase my dreams. Courageous enough to make my dreams a reality. I have the strength to keep fighting for them. The strength to overcome and to keep moving when those challenges get in the way. The strength to overcome those obstacles. The strength to tell myself, the mental strength to tell myself that I can. And we start talking about mindset. You got all kind of different people tell you about different types of mindsets, but what you need is you have that mindset that tells you that you can. You have to have that mindset to tell you that you will. I am, I can, and I will. That is the mindset you have to have. And if you already got past everything, so let's go back and give you the ingredients one more time. I got time. I'm here for it. The first steps you got to do: self-care, self-love, self-work, self-belief. And then you got to be courageous. You got to have the courage to say that you're going to do what you have your heart set to do, that your mind tells you can. The courage to look past those limitations, the courage to look past anything that's happened to you and to be able to block out the noise. That takes courage. Then you have to have the strength to fight for it. I'm going to fight for that version of me that I've been envisioning, that version of me that I had the courage to fight for, or courage to start off and get up and say I want. The courage to go get it. Now I have the strength to fight for it. You have to have the mindset that tells you that you can. Your mindset has to say, I am, I can, and I will. Hear what I'm telling you right now. And once you get past having that mindset, then you got to do the work. What comes with the work is not just picturing something. It's not just saying, oh, I'm going to be like Johnny Kim. I'm going to be an astronaut. No. All three of those adventures that he went on, from Navy SEALs to medical school to becoming a NASA astronaut, took work. He had a lot of schoolwork he had to do, training, physical, mental, a lot of spiritual tests, I'm so sure. But he had to ground himself somewhere. He had to remember, like we talked about in the second segment, what his purpose and his why was. For him, it was, I survived some of the worst things in my life as a child, and I'm going to live and be the best version of me that I can, not just for me, but for my family. I'm not going to allow limitations to stop me, other people's limitations to keep me from trying and fighting. I'm going to have the courage to chase my goals. I'm going to have the strength to keep fighting for them. I'm going to have the mindset that I am, that I can, and that I will. And then I'm going to do the work. That, my friends, is where we lose a lot of people. See, a lot of people see it. A lot of people want it. But they don't do the work. They don't want to do the work. They realize that there's work that's required. And they're like, hey, that's too much reading. That's too much running. That's too much lifting. There's too much fighting. There's too much. So then you get those Johnny Kims or those Oprah Winfreys, or these people who do the work. You see, they figured out all the pieces I just gave you. I'm giving you a lot of secrets today. 78.6 FM, positive vibes of wisdom. This is my story of success. I've been reading and studying others. So everything I just told you, they start with themselves. And then they branch out to become the best version of themselves. And then they take all those other pieces of the puzzle that I just gave you, and they say, hey, now it's time to work. And when they work and they go through their story at the end of the day, now they have a story to tell. I mean, tell you to look back at people and say, this is how I got here. This is why I do what I do. Their purpose changes over time, because now their purpose isn't possibly what it was during the story, because now their story is, let me inspire others. Let me help you navigate. Let me show you the way through. 78.6 FM, Yomatan, positive vibes of Winsome. I'm telling you, it's your turn. Are you practicing these things that I just mentioned? Self-care, self-love, self-belief, self-awareness. Are you finding that courage, strength, heart, mindset? And are you doing the work? If you're not, I challenge you to start today. You are loved, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. See you next week.